Welcome back to Celebrating Women's History. We are celebrating tremendous women here today. I'm your host, Jade Harrell, and I am joined by not only a historic history maker, but she is here to share about one who has blazed the trails for us. I'm joined here by Linda Nance, who is the president and founder of the Annie Malone Historical Society. Linda, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jade.
Yes, so let's start by Annie Malone. You started an organization to honor Annie Malone. What caught your interest, your love, your inspiration for Annie Malone?
I got a little angry.
Oh,
Yes,
talk
I did.
about it. Yes.
I was working at the Annie Malone Children and Family Service
Yes.
Center several years ago. And when I left to be with my husband, I just kept learning about Annie Malone. And my husband asked me, what are you going to do with all that information? You just going to leave it on your desk? And I thought, well, no, I'm not going to do that, but I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then as I shared with people things that I had been learning some 3-4 years after I left the center, I kind of learned they didn't know a lot about Annie Malone, and that really was not satisfactory to me at all. She was such a wonderful person who was way ahead of her time. She was giving to so many different people, and she taught. She was constantly teaching and constantly giving, and I thought that was something that should be shared.
Absolutely.
And I finally found out that a lot of people were interested in that, and we started a website with the information that came off my desk.
Sure.
And then I started presenting that information to as many people who would listen.
Well, many people who would listen, and many people should. Annie Malone is someone that we all should know. Everybody should know about Annie Malone. So can you start and share the story of who Annie Malone was and what she means to all of us historically?
Well, I thought she was a entrepreneur, a pioneer. I say frequently that she was the one picking up rocks and cutting down trees in the hair industry.
Okay.
She was one of the first people to open a college that was specifically designed to train women to do hair and cosmetics. She had a little perfume and soaps in there as well over the years, but she started her business in 1900. She was the
Why was that significant?
It was very significant. 1900.
Right. What was going on at the time that made that such a big deal?
Well, it was the turn of the century, number one. Very shortly after the slavery had ended, one generation actually away from that. Her parents were runaway slaves. Her father did serve in the Union Army. She was born in Metropolis, Illinois. And when her mother went to Metropolis to wait on her dad after the war, the family grew very much after that as well. She was the 10th of 11 children, which is something I can relate to because I'm the 9th of 12 children, so I know large families.
Wow.
And she started in a one-room shack. She had been orphaned early and raised by a sister in the Peoria area. I was just in Peoria yesterday dealing with presentations to the Daughters of American Revolution. But one of the things that she did was start this potions that she made out of herbs and flowers. She learned this from a woods woman that helped her when she was very young. She didn't get to complete high school. So she told her sister, I want to do hair, I want to treat hair, I want to teach people how to groom themselves and be proud of themselves from the inside and the out. And that was really the basis of a lot of her teaching. Keep it clean, keep it groomed, have self-esteem for yourself, and it continued to grow.
Right.
She went to Peoria, from Peoria, she went to Lovejoy, Illinois, one-room shack, made her product, walked around and sold her items to people, and it became so popular, she decided, I think I'm going to take a part of the World's Fair in St. Louis in 1902. So she came to St. Louis, but it didn't happen. The World's Fair didn't happen until 1904, actually. That's a line of her products that you see there.
It is. You know, it's pretty incredible that the impetus to her success in her business didn't begin as an entrepreneurial journey.
No.
It began as a self-esteem, self-concept,
Absolutely.
Self-worth thing. And as we're celebrating women, that's a pretty powerful understanding of that's how things got started for her, feeling empowered as not only a woman but as a person in a time when people like her were owned.
A lot of
they
times,
were slaves.
people of color did not have an opportunity to do anything than become a domestic worker or
Opportunity.
somebody who did your laundry. That was pretty well it. Maybe worked in the fields.
Sure.
But Annie Malone said that's really not the only thing that you're capable of doing. And the thing about her was she didn't just have a dream. She felt she could help other people develop their own dreams.
Absolutely.
And she taught them in the schools. She had a school in every single state in the United States.
So we're saying that Annie Malone launched and operated schools, not just a school, but multiple schools to empower others.
Not just in the United States.
Not just in the United States. That's
but in the world. She
phenomenal.
had an international presence, international
Amazing.
business.
We most certainly.
She trained women all over the world.
So the more she became empowered, she empowered
other
and
women.
Specifically for women.
Specifically for women.
You brought some artifacts with you, which I think is so terrific. And these are part of your presentation and things that you share.
Yes, those were donated.
Let's
the
talk about
tins were
these.
donated by Mildred Boyd, one of the supporters and advocates for Annie Malone. Her grandmother knew Annie Malone personally, and she shared those things with us just recently, actually. I thought it was fantastic that Annie Malone traveled all over the United States, and she taught people how to not just give. Those are examples of pressing combs and curling irons that she used, and many of her agents used. Over her lifetime, Annie Malone trained 75,000 women.
Wow.
Over her lifetime.
And it continued, because I remember as a child
Yes.
getting this hot comb through my hair and
Absolutely.
holding down my ear
Yes.
so that the curlers
Absolutely.
wouldn't
Absolutely.
burn my ear. But it created a way of stream of revenue and commerce for her to be empowered to open schools and become an international presence. Talk about Poro College.
She changed the paradigm for women of color.
She changed the paradigm
because
yes.
they saw themselves as entrepreneurs, and she advocated buy stocks, buy bonds, buy property, become a part of your community. The book that you're holding now is a book from 1900 when she opened her fourth business expansion, which is right there on the front of the cover there.
This book is from 1900.
That is from 1918 when she opened that building. That building was built from the ground up by Annie Malone with her money. And it was at a time when, just in 1916, St. Louis said no people of color could own property. And in 1917, the Supreme Court reversed that, and Annie Malone bought lots of property and decided she would have a building that was had a presence for the people in St. Louis, not just for her hair care. Mm-hmm. She had a whole industry. She had a manufacturing plant. She had her offices. She had a hotel.
How much money did she make?
Millions. She was
a millionaire.
In 1924, she was listed as the first African American millionaire.
And she used that money to make more money. She let her investment continue to grow.
But she also gave
why
it.
You're so excited about her.
She also gave it. She
also
gave $10,000 to start the land and a donation to the Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center, at that time called the St. Louis Colored Orphans Home. Oh, wow. She gave money to Howard University.
She had a passion for orphans.
She gave money
that.
to the Pine Street Y here in St. Louis. There were a number of social clubs that were designed. On the back of that one, you'll see one of the certificates from the Poro Social Club. They were groups of women that supported other philanthropic ideas and scholarships. She personally gave 2 scholarships to every land-grant African-American college in the state, in the United States.
What a difference maker.
She gave to St. Louis' Barnes Hospital to open a maternity ward. She did so many things of giving. Mm-hmm. The beautiful thing is that things continue today because the Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center still exists.
Absolutely.
The parade is in her honor. Mm-hmm. They changed the name of the facility to the Annie Malone Home because she was president of that facility from 1919, I believe, until 1946.
Sure. When did she pass on?
She passed in 1957 in Chicago.
What was the cause?
Quite honestly,
how old was she?
I don't recall that. She was well into her 80s. She moved her operation from St. Louis in 1930 because she had a really ugly divorce with Annie Malone, very public, very ugly. She gave him $200,000 and told him, please go away. The state of Missouri tried to take it into receivership, and many people know about Homer G. Phillips Hospital.
Yes.
Well, Homer G. Phillips was one of her attorneys. And he fought for her, saying, state, you don't need to take this in receivership because this operates just fine. Receivership is when things don't work. This works.
This works.
This
so
works.
You can't have it.
She taught, in fact, Madam C.J. Walker. So many people know of Annie Malone only in one respect, but they know a whole lot more about Madam C.J. Walker. And that's because she was much more public. Annie Malone was a very demure, very spiritual person, and she did not want the moniker Madam. She did not
was
want that.
a quiet force for good, though.
She was definitely
and we're
a quiet
still
force.
the beneficiaries of her kindness, her philanthropy, her dedication and commitment. So I'm glad you got mad. You've got to be rejoicing now because now there exists a historical society in her honor.
Absolutely.
So first off, congratulations for that success. And what does that mean to create a historical society for our students that are watching? What does that actually entail?
Well, we're wanting to do a museum in her honor, which makes available and present to people to come in and look at things that were instruments of her business and the business that she taught to so many women, as well as to get a feel for the kind of dedication. I mean, there were graduations with 600 people in them in different places within the United States. There were conventions that she held. The Poro College that she built had an 800-seat auditorium, a 200-plus seat cafeteria. People who would travel to St. Louis would to entertain would many times not be able to stay in the very venues where they entertained, and they stayed at Poro College.
Because they were people of color. Is there would you have a hand in some reunion or convening of people that are a part of that?
Oh, I would love to at some future time.
Okay.
Right now, we're a website presence only.
Sure.
We want to establish a building that will house that museum and do some educational things for the community, like a GED program or a financial literacy program, and maybe even an art program for young people to display their artwork. That was a community building. She invited people to come in and use the building. Quite often people would come in and use the bank of telephones to stay in touch with neighbors, and not neighbors, but family from different states. They would come into the hall. They would come in. Marian Anderson performed there. Mahalia Jackson performed there. So many different people of culture she wanted to bring to the community.
So this book represents what?
That book was actually published by Annie Malone in 1926. That is a republication of that so that people can have history in their hands to see some of the beautiful things that building actually represented. I thought that it was fantastic to learn that there was a person in 1918, very shortly after the First World War, that had a building that magnificent. When they opened it, people from all over the country and the world came to look at that building.
Incredible. This is just so inspiring and powerful to hear, and I'm really glad that you're carrying that along. I want to give a chance to our students and people who are watching at educate.today or have sent in questions in our chat, and you can do the same. Just chime in, send your questions in. We look forward to entertaining them and responding to them. Charlie is our correspondent for our students. And Charlie, what are the questions that have come in for Linda?
Why do you think we don't hear more about Annie Malone in our school classes?
Well, it's unfortunate, but a lot of African American history is not taught in our classrooms. That's changed a bit, but we still have quite a bit of it that is not taught in our classrooms. And I don't think there are enough people who are picking up the information and insisting that it go forward. I'm hoping that as we go forward, we can get some of those things into classrooms.
That's terrific. Charlie, do you have maybe another?
Do you think Annie Malone would be a success in today's business world?
Absolutely, I do. She was a pioneer not only in the hair care business, but also in marketing and advertising what it was she was doing. Again, it was very shortly, one generation after the Civil War ended, and she was able to do through newspaper, through magazines, through traveling across the country. She trained pilots to take her to different places. She traveled in trains. I've been looking to see if she owned a train car of her own, because she often traveled by train to several different places. And at one point, when she moved to Chicago from here and started her whole headquarter business all over again, she allowed Colonel Robinson to have a ground school on the campus where she was.
She just
so
wanted
many
to make
different
readily
things.
available. You've discovered so much, and I'm sure it's taken an immense amount of time and resources to do so, but it seems like it just really enlivens you the more you find out.
Absolutely.
What is key for folks that are watching today to glean from, learn from, embrace in our own lives from Annie Malone's vision and legacy?
You can do. You don't have to wait for people to do for you. You can do on your own. If Annie Malone, without one Twitter feed, without one Instagram account, without one computer, could start an international business where she traveled internationally herself, constantly learning about new hair care techniques, each and every one of us can do something. Yeah. If you have a spirit of giving, if you have a spirit that basically encourages one another, I think there are so many different things that can be accomplished. And I think our world would be totally different if they took on some of those characteristics of Annie Malone.
I think so. I think it'd be a tremendous place. What are your plans for the future for the Foundation Society?
We are looking for a building. We thought we had one, and as of Tuesday of this week, we learned that we will not be able to have that particular building.
Sorry to hear
but
that.
We're still looking, and we are raising funds, mounting a national campaign to tell people about Annie Malone and ask for their help to do exactly this.
Mm-hmm. How can we help spread the word? What is something that a student could say or do to help carry that, knowing about her, or even the ideas that she represented forward?
I think if people were to access our website at www.anniemalone historicalsociety.org, they'll not only find more information about her, but find different ways to help us by giving. We have this book that we are offering in order to help us raise some monies for our positioning to buy a building and buy a space. And if we don't have a space pretty soon, I think we're going to just rent someplace and start our programs anyway.
Because that would be the Annie Malone way.
That's exactly right.
That would absolutely
We're going
be
to
the
keep
way.
moving. That's the bottom line. And share it. The youngest class was a second grade class that we presented to. We've presented to seniors in senior citizen buildings and programs. We will basically go and talk to just about anybody who will listen to us.
Right.
The Missouri History Museum has been very helpful in allowing us to talk to lots of people as well. So talk about it, learn about it. I think in order for you to be about it, you have to learn about it. So we definitely want people to talk about Annie Malone.
Well, you've given us much to talk about. I can't thank you enough for being here to
Thank
share
you.
what you've learned, but it's definitely an inspiration and encouragement for us to go and learn more. So learn, discover, do, and know that you can do, and in honor and in celebration of Annie Malone. Linda, Nance, thank you for being with us.